Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. No, it's been a while since I made one, but I've just been playing some Cyberpunk 2077 recently, and I just kind of wanted to take another look back at it after 5 years later. Just my perspective, and obviously the game's had updates too. And I've just been playing the DLC recently, and it's pretty good. I really like the DLC especially, so I just wanted to give you a renewed perspective on the game as a whole, including the DLC. So, first of all, the graphics. That's really, I would say, one of the places where this game really shines. I mean, even at release, like, that's where they really outdid themselves. We'll get into the problems in a minute, but the graphics really were revolutionary for the time. It's very impressive, and it still looks really good. Even 5 years later, the game looks really impressive, especially if you have a PC where you can run it on really high graphics settings. It really looks amazing. But the thing is, I feel like maybe they should have prioritized that a little bit less than they did because, yeah, the game is graphically stunning, but like one of the things I've noticed right away with that is that there's still like a lot of graphical glitches, like a lot more than there are in other games. Sure, other games have them too, but like, you see a character appearing without arms or something, or he's like faded into the background, all pixelated, all kinds of stuff. That's just one of the areas where this game still has a lot of glitches, even though it's been 5 years. I mean, it's a lot better than it was at release, but it still has a lot of issues. But if you have a powerful PC especially, I mean, yeah, there's glitches, but really the game looks amazing. Like, you'll be impressed. I mean, you've probably seen it, but yeah, it's a really good looking game. Definitely some graphical eye candy. Not a lot of games look that good, and especially because it's a really futuristic setting, and it's really cool to see everything the way it looks with those really good graphics if you have a PC that can handle it. But yeah, you have to make sure about that because if you have a lower end PC, the game probably isn't going to look very good. During certain areas of the game, you might really have a low frame rate unless you turn the settings down a lot. I mean, you can always turn the settings down a lot, but if you don't have a powerful PC, the game really probably isn't going to look very good, at least not at a playable frame rate. It'll still be impressive, probably graphically in a sense, but you're not going to have all the advantages if your PC is not that high end. Okay, so I want to talk about the story next. So, there's all this stuff in the game where, like, the world that it's set in, where there's, like, cybernetic implants that kind of make people into cyborgs. And really, I mean, when the game was going to come out, I remember they really sold that part. They said, you can modify yourself in the game, give yourself all kind of cybernetic implants to make yourself more powerful. And the thing is, they kind of oversold it because it's a cool thing, but I'll get into why they kind of came short with that part. But let me just say, first of all, for the story, since we're talking about the story, it does actually help with the story. Like, it makes the story more fun and interesting because you're dealing with this, like, cool tech stuff, sci-fi stuff that's going on. Like, for example, you can basically become another person, and then your character is this other character for part of the game, which is kind of cool to see, kind of a cool story element. Also, there's brain dances where you can basically go into someone's memory and play it through. That's also pretty cool. There's not a lot of that in the story, but it does come up sometimes, and it's a cool story element. So it's just one of those tech things that is cool to see. Also, there's some famous actors like, of course, Keanu Reeves, and then in the DLC, we also have Idris Elba, so if you're a fan, I mean, we're getting used to seeing that a lot more now with, like, famous actors appearing in games, but they have, like, two pretty famous ones, so, yeah, it adds something to the game, to the story, to see those actors in the game. A lot of games don't have that yet. But one thing I really didn't like about the story or about the gameplay, as we'll see, is that you're locked in first person. It just feels like the developers just took a shortcut with that. I know because the game kept on getting delayed. I think they just tried to make it easier on themselves, but really it takes away a lot. Like you design your character and then you almost never see them throughout the entire game. And it's like it would be so nice to be able to go third person because it's not that kind of game. It's not a first person shooter. It's an open world game where you should be playing third person most of the time. So it's like weird that you can only be first person, and it just doesn't work. It takes away from the story and the gameplay quite a bit. Definitely. It's especially in cutscenes. You like to be able to see who you're playing as, like pretty much every other open world game. Also, I didn't really personally like the whole make your own character and then you choose which like background you are, whether you're corpo or a street kid or all of those. It's like, honestly, I like more when it's like you have a set character. There's a lot of games that did this well. Like, for example, if you play The Last of Us, you are Joel. If you play Red Dead Redemption 2, you are Arthur Morgan. If you play GTA 5, you have Trevor, you have Michael, you have Franklin. But it's like, it's set up. The game like just does that for you because they want to say this is the character, and it's like they're like interesting characters most of the time. But instead, it's just kind of you make your own character, but then the character doesn't really have that much of a set background since, like I said, there's 3 different starts you could do, and each of them change how you play. So it just seems kind of like loosey-goosey, like you don't really have a set personality, which I feel like kind of takes away from the game. I wish they had just done it the same thing that CD Projekt Red did with The Witcher 3, where you play as one character throughout the entire game, and like you know who you are, not all this stuff about making your own character, because I just don't think it works that well with this type of game where there's a set storyline. Anyway, yeah, so the gameplay itself, we're not talking about the story because I like the story, but the actual gameplay, I'm talking about like the stealth and gunplay mostly, are just mediocre. I mean, they're not terrible, but that's really one of the lowest points of the game. The stealth, there's a lot of games that do stealth a lot better, and the same thing is true about the gunplay, especially because you're locked in first person, and it's just, both of them could be a lot better, and especially because they're all buggy. So it's like, not only is the gunplay and the stealth mechanic not that well done already, but at the same time, they're like riddled with bugs. So a lot of times it's just easy because you can just hide in a corner from the enemy or something and they'll just stand there, which doesn't happen in other games where it's like the AI is actually smart and goes after you. So it's just felt not great because of that. It was just like too easy to fool the AI. The AI is just so stupid. So that's a big problem with both stealth and the gunplay mechanic. And it would definitely be nice to go third person, but we're locked in first person, so that didn't work in favor of the gameplay either. And as for the tech stuff I was talking about, you know, like the body modifications, mostly like the cyborg implants and stuff like that, that kind of adds a cool dimension to the story because you have these things going on where it like showcases the tech, which is kind of cool, like a sci-fi element. But for the gameplay, I feel like that it's like it doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just you get an implant that does something for your aiming scope, and it's like, okay, in a different game that could just be part of the gun and it could just be a mod for the weapons. When it comes to gameplay, that whole like, oh, we have all this cool tech stuff, because when the game was coming out, that was like a big selling point for them. But then when it comes out, it's like, okay, but having this tech stuff, these Ripper docs who modify your body with implants, like, it sounds cooler than it is, but when it comes to the gameplay, it didn't really do a whole lot for us. And yeah, the glitches are still like, when the game first came out, they were terrible. Like, it was almost unplayable, especially as you got later on in the game. But right now, it's not that bad. It's gotten better, but it still has a lot of issues, like a lot more issues than many games had at release. So it's just, I understand they got it delayed, but other games like Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, got delayed multiple times, and there was so much hype, and I feel like that game just fully delivered, and it was not buggy at all. But meanwhile, Cyberpunk, I don't know what happened. There was probably just a problem since the beginning, because they still haven't been able to fix all that bugginess. But I remember how big the hype was when it was leading up to this game coming out, how excited everybody was, and yeah, it was just a big disappointment, especially for a lot of us who pre-ordered it. It was so bug-riddled, which is why at the beginning, it was like the worst time to play. That's when I played most of the game, actually, was when it first came out. But I've been playing since then a lot, and it's gotten so much better, honestly. Yeah, so there's a lot of improvement, and the DLC especially. There's bugs more than most games, but it's so much better than it was back when it released with all that hype. Okay, so probably this is my least favorite part of the game. I wanted to talk about the open world aspect. The world just feels so hollow. Like, what I mean is, you just go around and you can press a button to interact with NPCs, but they just say like 2 words to you and just keep on walking and ignoring you. It's like there's nothing there. It's just you see people, but it's in the game, but it's just empty. Like Night City, like visually you look around, you see so much stuff going on, but then it feels so hollow. Like you can't interact with anything. Of course, there's the gameplay stuff, the main story and the missions where, of course, you interact with characters then, but there's nothing to interact with outside of the story and the mission. One of the things that made a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 or The Witcher 3 so amazing, so immersive, the open world in those games, is that you would just go off the beaten path and you'd run into a random NPC encounter, like the RDR2 stranger missions. It's like, it just makes it feel so organic. It makes the world feel alive, like you're actually there when you're just riding around and suddenly like someone's like help, and it's like they're getting attacked by wolves. It's like, that kind of thing just doesn't exist, even though they basically lied to us and said in the days leading up to it that there was going to be something like that in Cyberpunk, but there wasn't. It just doesn't exist. There's nothing like that. There's nothing to make the world feel alive, like you're actually there, and like the NPCs actually have a life outside of just being there to entertain you. That's how it feels in other games like Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2. It feels like the NPCs have lives whether you're there or not. But Cyberpunk just cannot recreate that. And like, even though the open world is very impressive visually and graphically, it just feels so empty because it feels like the NPCs are just there just so you see them, but they don't do anything at all. I think that's the biggest failing going from CD Projekt Red's Witcher 3 to Cyberpunk. It's just losing that feeling of an amazing and rich and vibrant open world, which is like so crucial to open world games. I would say that the open world in Cyberpunk, it feels hollow like a Ubisoft game does. But Ubisoft releases games every year, and it's like you expect the game to feel hollow, sort of, because the open world, like they have fun missions, but the open worlds a lot of times, they don't have the sort of open worlds that a Rockstar game has, or that The Witcher 3 had in the past for CD Projekt Red. It's like, it's just hollow. Yeah, they're fun games, but they just crank out a lot of them. They don't really have rich and meaty open worlds. And Cyberpunk's open world just felt like a Ubisoft open world, where it's just there to pass through. You just pass by as you're going to missions, but there's nothing to actually do in the open world. And that really was sad because it felt like it had so much potential. It feels like there could be so much more to the open world, but there isn't. And that's the biggest letdown about the game. You're expecting so much, at least I was, coming into the game in 2020, and then just being disappointed by the totally empty open world. And even though, as I said, the Phantom Liberty DLC with Idris Elba, that is actually, like, I think it's the best part of the game. Kind of like for The Witcher 3, in my opinion, the DLCs were also kind of the best part of an already awesome game. But even though the DLC, I would say the story is really cool and fun for Cyberpunk, I mean, the problem is still the new segment of the map that is added called Dogtown, which is ruled by this corrupt official named Kurt Hansen. The whole new segment of the map is just as empty as all the rest, unfortunately. Just as hollow. Now I want to talk about whether or not you should buy this game now if you haven't played it yet. Well, actually, I just checked and saw that at least in the United States, it's currently on sale on Steam until February 22nd for only $26.99. So if you can get this price, I would say that's a good price, but that's just for the base game. But still, it's a pretty good price, especially because the list price is $60 still. And you can get it with Phantom Liberty for $43. And I really recommend Phantom Liberty more than the base game, but obviously that's a little more pricey. With the sale, it's $43, including Phantom Liberty. But yeah, I don't recommend paying full price. So if you're thinking about it, I recommend either getting it now during the sale, hopefully with the DLC. But if you don't get it this time, I recommend waiting for the next sale because there's no need to pay full price for a game that's like 5 years old. Okay, so this game really has a lot of issues, as I've talked about, but it was still a really innovative, revolutionary, important title in recent years, and personally I have over 100 hours of it just on PC, but I also played it on PS5 as well. It's a really fun game at the end of the day, despite all the problems that it has, so if you can get it on sale, I recommend getting it. I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Which is pretty good for me. I mean, at its core, it's a pretty good game. It just feels like it could have been so much better. It could have been something of the caliber of like Witcher 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2. Unfortunately, though, it really fell short. Like, it's not nearly on the caliber of those games, mainly because its open world is so hollow and because of the bugs, but it's still a solid 7 out of 10. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the review, and I just wanted to talk about my channel for a minute. I know I haven't been able to post really anything recently, unfortunately, just have a lot going on. I did get a 3D printer recently, so I was thinking of making some 3D printer related videos, maybe doing a review of my printer or some other 3D printer videos. Let me know if you're interested in seeing something like that, or if you're interested in seeing something else in particular. Just let me know down in the comments and hopefully I'll be able to make it happen. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.